Witness history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.
Oops, wrong button. Why did that happen? Hang on a sec. I think I got to hide that one. Yes. Oh, not quite there. Hang on. Stand by. Too early in the morning. That must be that one. So I got to hide that one. Oh, there we go. Back again. Morning. It's 25th of June, and Gary's wife, I believe, turns up on the 27th of June here in Fiji. I think that's right. And Gary should get in maybe later tonight. But anyway, we'll talk about that. So he'll be a happy chappy. And first of all, I've still got the guilt, so I haven't finished the press release yet. We're waiting for a group photo now. That's my excuse. So when Gary gets here, we'll have everyone except that's sailing, everyone except for John and Popeye. They're still having too much fun in Papeete, Tahiti, French Polynesia, all the, so enjoying themselves, which is the meaning of life, I think. Maybe it's 43, or was it 42? I forget. Then there'll be 13 of us here, and we can get the group shot. And Renaud, that's an interesting point too. I always call him Renaud, which is why I spell his name wrong, because when you spell Renaud in Australian, there's always an E on the end, and I'm hopeless with spelling and pronunciations and names and blah, blah, blah. So it's really Renaud, and if it's Renaud, there's no E on the end. Anyway, finally get it after about 6 months or a year, or a couple of years since we've known him. We did Renaud's interview yesterday, the one-on-one, half hour, quite interesting actually. Was focused a bit on the racing side and how he's doing it and what he's doing it for and all those sorts of issues and how he's enjoying it or how he's not enjoying it and so on. So it's quite cool. But we'll, and I've got, I'll be doing Eric this morning and a couple others. We'll run those once things settle down a bit, because there's still a bit going on. We've got a big bonfire here today. We're in the western marina pool. There's two here. There's the eastern one and the western one, and there's this beautiful waterfront land right in front of the water down there. So we've all the 580 guys and girls have been invited over. And that'll be watching the sunset. We might even do a little live or something if there's something exciting happening. So that's the 580. All the 580 sailors will be there, and then I think we're there at 5:30. No, 5 or 5:30 or something. I forget now. Ooh, better look. And then after we've been there for half an hour, all the other people from the marinas come over and have a bit of fun as the sun sets slowly in the west. That's correct. And then on Friday, we're actually. Friday morning, we're headed out to a local Fijian school here, with Vuda Marina, they do a regular maritime introduction sort of presentation to schools at different times to get the local Fijians involved with sailing and just tell them what it's like, because they run an Optimus fleet here and they've got some other day sailors, and they've even got their own trailer sailor. It's a really nice far trailer sailor, which is pretty slick. A local donated it to them, which is amazing. So they run like a sailing program for the local Fijian kids, and the kids love it. They're out here screaming and yelling and sailing in their oppies, and they've got windsurfers there, basic training windsurfers and all sorts of things. So anyway, we're going to go out to this school, and they're going to take the oppies and put them in the yard, like in the park, so get them in and drag them around on the trailers and stuff, just to say, come on down. And then that's Friday morning, and then Friday afternoon they're going sailing down here in the little boats, and we're going to try and if I can get some volunteer 580 skippers that have got sailable boats, because there's rigs coming out and boats on the hard and stuff. We hope to take some other people sailing, because on Thursday night we're doing the big film festival here. Vuda are running the Ocean Film Festival type thing. It's short films, celebrating World Oceans Day and all that sort of stuff. And then after that, we're running the Golden Globe Voyage of Madman film. Sailors are coming in to see that. And there'll be some university. They run it. Fiji has a maritime college here, maritime university, teaching all maritime studies and things. and some of their students are coming down for the film, and they're the ones that we might want to try and get sailing. So on Thursday night, we'll decide what boats we've got and who wants to come, and then some of the 580s might go sailing on Friday afternoon for them. So plenty going on. Okay, and poor Josh, jeepers, it's been a beautiful night here last night, and poor Josh has been bang, bang, big seas, all that stuff, which I'll explain. I'll explain right now, and then I've got some diagrams to show you what's happening. Because the other day I was about to give the I'm not an expert on local knowledge here, but we've come back and forwards here a lot over 6-7 years or more than that. And we talk to the locals and we see what the entrance is like. And there's, I'm wishing now I had told all the sailors about the local conditions coming here into the lagoon, because there's a bit of a misconception maybe, and it's created some challenges certainly for Eric, and it's creating challenges for Josh, and so on. So anyway, Josh is doing all the right things. He's safe and all that sort of stuff. So across to the tracker now. Oh, jeepers, where's the tracker? Hang on. Hang on. It shared screen. That's it there. Now I've got to go here. Okay, you're on the tracker. Rightio. And I'm now going on the tracker. Okay, so I'm on the tracker here. I'll make it a bit bigger. We don't have to go over and check out John and Popeye, because I know they're still there. Haven't heard much from them, but they're obviously having too much fun. This is the current weather and current situation. You can see here this yellowy gold. That's 28 to 30 knot trades, gusting 35 or higher. I checked on Windy last night, and it's gusting up to 40 knots in here. They're the gusts, not squalls. So I don't know whether you get much squall activity here, maybe, but probably not. When it fills in like that, the system just is powerful and it keeps it going. So the reality here, before we actually, I'll explain everything as it stands right now. Gary back here, he's on the edge of it. He's not going super fast. He's doing 3.6, and he's you can see he's sailed pretty much a straight line. He's going around that reef, which I'll show you when I enlarge it later on. He's through it. He's now beelining it for the pass into the reef, and he has about 75 miles to the finish. So let's assume, I think he'll probably speed up a little bit and then slow down a little bit. At the moment, he's got solid seas. The seas will be around 3, maybe even going 4 meters last night. And so he's just enjoying the ride, you might say, not pushing anything. And that would mean that he's going to be at least he's 16, 17, 18, maybe 19 or 20 hours from now. So it's 4 hours earlier. It's currently 8 o'clock, so that's about 4 o'clock in the morning by the time he'll arrive here at Vuda, maybe. So sometime early tomorrow, or it could be anywhere after midnight, depends if he speeds up and things like that. So, but today's Wednesday, so he'll be sometime in Thursday morning. Okay, so that's Gary's story. Josh currently doing 2.8 knots. I'm wondering whether he's just taking it easy, or whether the wind gradient has died off really quickly at dawn and things like that, because this can sometimes be wrong. But generally, he's now coming over into the area which is winds have died down, sea will be dying down, and that's normal, because if you look here, even with a southeasterly, first of all, you've got these big reefs up here, okay, just underneath the bottom of the island, and then you've got this island, and then if you look down here as well, you've got another island coming across here. So even with big seas, if there's 4 meter seas out here, once you start closing the coast along the edge, the sea is always much less, okay? It's just natural. So the idea is, with the following sea, you're not on a lee shore, okay? And so you can come quite close to the bordering reef here, right? And what happened yesterday, Josh got out here, he was doing pretty well, and we were expecting him in, it was really setting up to be what could have been, quite a nice approach. He could have come around and gone through the reef, but I'll explain a bit about that later on. Josh is concerned, because I was talking to his manager, was he didn't want to arrive with the tide the wrong way, and big seas, and then wind against tide, and breaking breakers across the entrances and things like that. So he's done exactly what a good seaman should do, and he's come out to sea here to get sea room, and he's turned around and coming back in now with the weather a little bit better, and you know, daylight as well. He didn't want to go through at night time. So he's done all the right things, and he's probably having a nice breakfast now and carrying on. So at that point, what I'll do is I'll come up here, I'll blow it up, and I'll just explain the pass, this whole issue about the pass a bit more. We've got to come right up to get rid of the wind here, just to explain this. Okay, so Josh's purple starts to disappear a bit here. But as I was saying, imagine here you've got a southeasterly wind. You can draw a line quite clearly, southeast out this way. The wind and the sea is coming along there. As you're closing the coast and you're in this area here, the sea drops right down. So if it's 3 to 4 meters outside, you're going to get 1 to 1.5 meters in here, especially as you start to turn the corner then, because you can see the further you go around along the edge of the reef, you're getting the protection here of the reef. So the sea always dies down as you're coming across here, even as it's blowing honkers out here. So you can be confident that you haven't got the big seas. The next thing that happens is with the passes, I'll go back to the big picture, is that if you look at this lagoon and the tides here, when the tide fills in the lagoon and it's starting to flow out, this reef line here acts as a bit of a breakwater, right? The water doesn't go over the top of the reef, obviously. So as it's coming down, it's like a funnel. I was explaining this the other day. You can see the V shape there. And even though there's a couple of passes here, a couple of holes there, there's a big part of it that gets hooked into this bottom bit here, and it's got nowhere to go, right? The very bottom bit. So where it rushes out and where you get the big currents is on the shipping channel, right? Hang on. Oops, I've got things popping up everywhere here. So imagine this. This is like a funnel, right? And when it gets to the bottom here, it stops. And so the only place for the water to go is come pouring out of here. And I was chatting about it with Renaud yesterday. He was doing about 3 knots coming through here. And all of a sudden he gets to, I think he went to 8 knots or something. So it's coming through at 4 or 5 knots or something. This one has a lot of current. All right. Now, you can see here all this water rushing down this way and coming out of there. Some of it will go through here, but most of it comes down. So even if you've got big tides like they are now, you're usually only going to get maximum 2.5 knots because it's a mile wide. This cloud break pass here between Tavarua Resort, a little island there in the reef, and here, it's a mile wide. Okay, so it's got plenty of room to go out, so the current's not intense. Being a mile wide, there's no real hazards in here, so even if you've got headwinds, you can tack through it. Okay. Similar story for the one above it on the other side. Adam went through here. It's reasonably wide, in fact, but it's not. You can see it's only about 1/3 of a mile or something. But for a boat, come on, get out of there. We don't want that. But for a boat, okay, I've got to move that to there. That's 1/2 a mile wide. So that one's 1/2 a mile wide. And this one here, I call it a mile, but it's probably even more. We took it from there's a mile there. Okay, so it's a mile wide. So you don't get the huge currents coming through here. The other thing is, if you look closely again at the situation with the seas, when the seas, I'll shrink this down. Remember this is the recommended pass in heavy weather. That's what I'd be doing because it's wider and there's no bits. The seas are all following the breeze, which is down here. They're dropping back to 1 meter and a bit, right? And even if the wind's coming there's very little seas that are rolling around because there's even a shoulder here. They're pushing that way. They don't roll around, come in there and get your typical. It's not like a lagoon pass, or an atoll pass where you got all this stuff happening, and if it's wind against tide, you get these bits and pieces. So even in reasonably solid trade winds, you can pretty well be assured the sea is going to die down, right? The wind's from the southeast coming over here. When you turn into this wide pass, it's on the beam, which means you'll speed up, right? Just harden up a little bit on the beam when you roar in. So it's all about local knowledge, I suppose, and following some simple principles. And then once you get into the lagoon, you're in the lee of the land. So even if it's blowing its backside off out here, it's going to be a lot less on the inside, right? And if it's not a lot of wind, it's like calms, like Eric had back here. And this is Eric's course. He was hanging out at the back here for a day or so. When you get into the lagoon, you actually get the land and sea breeze effect if there's light winds, right? So you haven't got the big trade winds pouring through. So then the land heats up, the sea cools down, and the wind sucks in from the north. Even though the local weather showing it's coming from the east, you'll get this northwesterly sea breeze come in, and it's beautiful. Um, and you can sail along, and then at night time, there's a transition at dusk, at night time, with the land heated up and rising up, the wind changes around to the northeast. It's basically a land breeze, So you got the classic sea breeze, land breeze, land breeze, changes direction nearly 180 degrees or 120 degrees each time, and you sail up here in beautiful sailing conditions, calm water, when there's light winds on the outside. So either way, this entry here, these two, are not considered to be treacherous, right? But nonetheless, if in doubt, stay out, and that's exactly what Josh did. So he's done the right thing, and it's exactly what Eric did. He was tired and blah blah blah. So both have done the right thing. But I just thought it was worth explaining how it's relatively easy and reliable under most weather conditions to come into the lagoon in Fiji. It's nothing to be feared. A lot of the stories you get with big currents in atolls and stuff, because you have a huge atoll with all the water sucking in, and it has a little narrow pass, and that can get quite challenging, super fast currents and so on. But this is a little bit more relaxed, and we've never, even though we've come in and out of this quite a lot in the years gone by, we've never had too much trouble. The biggest problem is light winds in here. You have a great trade winds, and you come in and you've got a motor. All right, well, the 580s don't have the luxury of a motor. That's just to make distance. But sailing through that one, as long as there's a breeze, it's not too bad. Anyway, enough of that. So I'll just show you. I think that's all we need to show on the tracker, but I'll just show you. I'll come back here. So I'm back here now, and then I've got a couple of pictures here to explain. Hang on, I hit that one. Nope, that's not done it. I'll try this. Okay, so this was Josh last night. You should be looking at a picture of Josh there. This is where he altered course. He came right out. He was sailing out here at sort of 4 or 5 knots. And the problem you got to be careful of. Here's the pass going through, and the top, that little red line there. If you went too far with this wind direction and everything, by the time you come back around, you can see you're sailing with this heavy weather on the beam. So what it means is this was, I forget what time was. I think that was about 10 o'clock last night. And I was getting a bit, not concerned at all, but just thinking, oh boy, gets a bit tricky. Get out here, the wind's on the port quarter there, but as soon as you tack around, the wind is on the beam. So then you've got this sort of 25 to 30 knots gusting 37, 40 knots on the beam with 3 to 4 meter seas, maybe bigger, breaking. That's when you can get knockdowns and rollovers and all sorts of stuff. So it can be quite challenging. But fortunately, this breeze appears this morning to have dropped back a little bit, and the yellow band is less. So Josh has got around. He went quite slow on this leg. We were watching him every few hours. So he's being conservative, but I'm quite sure he's going to have a few stories. So let's wait and see, touch wood, when he gets in. So, geez, how was it coming back in, Josh? And he'd probably say, oh, it's a bit bloody wet, I don't know. Anyway, so that's that one. And then if I hit this, no, this was the sea state. Okay, so you got the winds. I went on to windy and checked. When he was out there, the wind was, gusting up to 40 knots, forecasting 25 to 30 knots, gusting to 40. And the sea state there was basically 4 meters. And if it's forecasting 4, it could be higher. So something tells me Josh is going to have a story. I hope he filmed it. It's night time, but anyway. So good on Josh. He's doing really well. And we didn't do the ETA. So I'll just go back to Josh's tracker. Oh, look at that. That worked. Now you've got the. Is that a picture? That's the tracker. So I'm going to go back to my tracker. And yep, okay, so now we've got Josh right there. I'll click it down. He's currently doing 2.8 knots, which is pretty slow, but maybe the weather we're seeing isn't the weather Josh is getting. He's got 26 miles to go. He should be averaging about 4, so that's 5-6 hours. 6 hours from now. I think, and then add a bit on for the slow bits and tide and bits and pieces. Hopefully, we'll see Josh arrive just before dark. Um, just before dark today. He's only got 24 miles, but if we do, hopefully a bit more, he should speed up a bit. So if it was 4 knots, yeah, it's 5, 6, 7 hours. So 7 hours is 8, 4, 3. Yeah, sometime late this afternoon, right on top of our bonfire, with all the crews out there. So anyway, keep an eye out for sometime late today, and hopefully in before dark. So we'll look forward to seeing Josh. Rightio, back here, and a few messages if there's anything. Okay. Back here, g'day John. All the ducklings will soon be home. Yeah, absolutely. It'll make a fun group shot, and Renault can pop the bottle of champagne as the winner, and all is good. We get the perfect shot for the press release. So I've really been part of my plan not to do the press release until everyone's here. Jeez, I'm clever. Bloody hell. G'day, Captain Joey. Not a problem. Is it Manaka or Binaka? Oh, no, it's Vanaka. V. It's Vanaka. Oh, I got someone, I think Rachel sent me the words for the song. I better get on to that. Someone asked about the words for the song. We'll get that sorted. And I think it was Rachel sent me a link with the words. Anyway, g'day Christine. G'day Roseanne, Rachel. Evening. Sydney. See you all soon. Oh, Sydney's Kerry's manager. So you have an ETA for Garry? Yeah, Garry will be sometime early Thursday morning. So okay, that's it. We're out of here. Thanks for like, follow, share, all that sort of stuff, and we'll keep on going. There's something. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say. See ya. Oh, nearly pressed the wrong one. Jeepers.
The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.